What's going on? My name is Chris Gromis. Super excited you guys are hanging out with me. Today we're going to be talking about a topic that I would have disagreed with myself a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But we're talking about it today. Mega churches, are they still relevant? So I might have a take that most people don't. I might be making enemies on both sides. Mega churches, I think, do still have their place, but I think their place is dwindling. What we've been seeing over the last couple of years is a lot of younger people, a lot of people in my generation and the generations before, millennials, and gosh, I hate saying I'm a millennial. I'm a millennial. Maybe I'm not. I don't know what I am, okay? But people in the millennials and going down are starting to seek something true. And a lot of times with mega churches, they do grandiose things and it's amazing. And back when I was a kid and I was younger and a teenager, that's what we all looked for, right? We all looked for that. We found community there. We found all this stuff. But today it's almost like the church is shifting. It's this weird shift that the church is going through where we are looking for, more and more people are looking for something more authentic. And when I say authentic, I'm not saying they're not authentic. What I'm saying is more authentic feeling, more authentic in nature, more traditional, if you will, okay? A lot of younger people are looking for that traditionalism.
Traditional?
And it made me start wondering, and this is just my take on this, and you can like it or hate it. I don't really care. This is my take. So I started racking my head, like, why is this? Why is this? And it kind of gets to me to this point where today we're bombarded with so much entertainment, so much new, so much, even sometimes fake. AI has done some weird things, right? Like I have the time, there's some videos I have to go to the comments to see if people are like, this is AI. Because I'm like, there's no way. But what people are looking for today is something authentic, something true, something that has been proven. And a lot of times the mega churches aren't falling into that. And I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they're good. I'm just saying a lot of times what we're seeing is they want something that's been proven a lot longer than a couple years. And it started to get me to think, like back in the early church, I love the early church. I'm going to go back to it. Back in the early church, a lot of times the writings that we have of things that are going on, right? And we see this and we're like, this is the date. Let's say, I'm just going to make up some random dates here. Don't test me on it because whatever. Let's say there's a doctrine and it's written in 185 AD. Well, the thing about it is it's only written then because it's been proven then. And they have to write it for a specific reason because we got to think back then, writing was expensive. Paper was expensive. It wasn't on paper. It was expensive to write. And then you had to store it. So what they would do is they only address things that needed to be addressed in the moment. So a doctrine that we look at might have been being celebrated or done for 100 years before, maybe even longer. But now all of a sudden something happened. So that's kind of what we're looking at today is people are looking for something more authentic, something more tried and true. And they're looking for something that's older than themselves. And they're looking for that community, that belonging. And I've been a part of many mega churches. I love the churches I was a part of. I love the pastors that were there. This is not a knock on them in any way, shape, or form, or their churches. I think they've done extraordinarily awesome work. I think God has moved so well in these churches. But I'm starting to see things differently. There's a cultural shift right now. And honestly, if you're a pastor in a mega church or on staff at a mega church and you're seeing this is something that we need to really start looking at. It's like, what is this cultural shift and how can we adapt to the cultural shift that will help us reach more people for Christ? That is what is important right now, is reaching people for Christ. And if we can't tweak the churches to facilitate people coming to Christ, maybe it's time to think differently. And go down that rabbit hole. Like, how can we do it? Be innovative. Man, that's what I love about the late 90s, early 2000s. Churches were innovative. Some of them, let's be honest, we could leave some of that innovation back then. But we were reaching people for Christ. Right now, the church is in decline. There's a reason for that. Right now, there's denominations that are losing millions of members every single year. There's a reason there. And if we don't address those reasons, churches are going to start becoming irrelevant. and they're going to be going somewhere else. And that's perfectly okay. As long as they're going to another Christian church, that's okay. But it's time to start looking at church differently. It's time to start looking at it through the lens of what is the shift? Because I'm going to tell you something. Trying to look for something authentic and real, looking for this stuff now is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing because people are looking for Jesus in any way they can, and they're looking for him to be like this Jesus that's old, because Jesus was here 2,000 years ago. They're looking for the truth. And in a world celebrated by AI and fakeness and entertainment, looking for something holy, reverent, and beautiful. A lot of people are heading down this road. If you're a church leader, it's time to start looking at this and saying, are we going to fall behind? Or are we going to innovate and be there and match those people and bring them in and actually start looking at the way the church was back in the day? Maybe looking at certain aspects of church worship that is in the beginning of the Christian era. See, but here's a crazy thing, right? Blockbuster swore up and down people just wanted DVDs. They saw Netflix and said they didn't want no part of it. And they did not innovate the way they were supposed to, and it cost them their business. That's why there's no more Blockbusters around. The music company almost did the same thing. When Napster came out and digital music, the music industry doubled down and almost destroyed it until the music industry said, no, we need to innovate and learn from this. So it's either you're going to be a Blockbuster or you're going to be a music industry. You're going to innovate or you're going to die. That's the way it's going to be. People are looking for that. And the way we find it is looking back to the truth, looking back to what was real, looking back to something that has been proven. Maybe our innovation needs to be looking backwards, looking back to the apostles, looking back to the apostles' disciples, looking back to the first 300 years of Christianity. What made those people love Jesus so much? And I can tell you something. It wasn't a rock show. It wasn't skydiving. It wasn't zip lines. It was the truth of God, and it was done reverently with full love. I don't say this as a condemnation. I say this as maybe it's time to start looking at things differently. God bless you.